Every morning, London performs a quiet miracle of continuity. Just after 11 a.m., the great gates of Wellington Barracks swing open, and history steps out onto the pavement. The changing of the guard is not a tourist trap or a relic polished for visitors. It is a working ceremony, a living handover of responsibility between soldiers who, in many cases, have only recently returned from active combat. The scarlet tunics and bearskin caps are not costumes. They are battle dress, preserved and polished, worn by operational troops who stand ready to defend the sovereign and her palaces with live ammunition. The ceremony, officially known as Guard Mounting, involves the relief of the Queen's Guard. One regiment ends its 24-hour watch over Buckingham Palace and St. James's Palace. Another regiment takes its place. To the watching tourist, it is a pageant of precision marching and brass band music. To the soldier, it is a shift change. The men on parade are not actors. They are infantrymen from regiments such as the Grenadier Guards, Coldstream Guards, Scots Guards, Irish Guards, or Welsh Guards, the 5 regiments of foot guards that have protected the monarchy since the 17th century. A trained eye can tell them apart instantly. The Grenadiers wear a white plume on the left side of their bearskin cap. The Coldstream Guards have a red plume on the right. The Scots Guards display no plume at all but wear their buttons in pairs. The Irish Guards boast a blue plume on the right. The Welsh Guards show a green and white plume on the left. These small distinctions are badges of honor, each stitch and spacing carrying centuries of regimental pride. The bearskin caps themselves, standing nearly 18 inches tall, are made from the fur of Canadian brown bears, a tradition inherited from the Battle of Waterloo in 1815, when British troops defeated Napoleon's Imperial Guard, who wore similar high headgear. But before the crowd at Buckingham Palace sees anything, the real action begins elsewhere. The ceremony unfolds across 3 locations, all within a few minutes' walk of each other. The first is St. James's Palace, the senior palace of the monarchy. Foreign ambassadors are still accredited to the court of St. James's, not Buckingham Palace. It is there, on Friary Court off Marlborough Road, that the Old Guard detachment from St. James's assembles. There are no barriers here, no jostling crowds. Families with young children can stand close enough to hear the crunch of boots on gravel. This is the secret corner of the ceremony, often forgotten but historically essential. At the same time, at Buckingham Palace forecourt, the main body of the Old Guard has gathered. They have spent the night in the guard room, sleeping in shifts, walking 2-hour sentry duties in the cold. Their uniforms are immaculate despite the long hours. They stand in silence as the clock approaches 11. At Wellington Barracks on Birdcage Walk, the new guard forms up. They have been inspected on the parade ground. Their band has tuned its instruments. The regimental color, a silk flag bearing the battle honors of the regiment, is unfurled. This color was once the rallying point on smoky, screaming battlefields. To lose the color was the ultimate disgrace. To protect it, soldiers gave their lives. The flag that marches with the new guard is not decoration, it is the soul of the regiment, stitched with names like Waterloo, Alma, El Alamein, and the Falkland Islands. At precisely 11 a.m., the new guard steps off from Wellington Barracks. A military band leads the way, playing a march that might be a traditional quickstep or, on a lighter day, the theme from a James Bond film or a medley of ABBA songs. The public is often surprised by the band's repertoire, but music serves a serious purpose. It keeps marching troops in step over long distances. It lifts morale. And it holds the attention of the crowd while the complex mechanics of the handover take place behind the railings. The new guard marches up Birdcage Walk, turns onto the Mall, and approaches the gates of Buckingham Palace. The crowd falls silent except for the rhythm of boots, 140 paces per minute, perfectly synchronized. The band halts. The new guard faces the old guard across the forecourt. Then, something remarkable happens. The new guard does not simply walk into position. They slow march. The slow march is a ceremonial movement performed at approximately 65 paces per minute, each leg held momentarily in the air before the foot meets the ground. It is an extraordinary display of muscular control and discipline. In the 18th and 19th centuries, battles were fought in slow, deliberate movements. Regiments advanced across open ground in line, firing volleys on command. The slow march is a living memory of that age of set-piece warfare. It is dignified, almost solemn. It says, "We are here not to rush, but to honor." When the new guard reaches its position, both regiments present arms. The clash of rifle butts against palms echoes off the palace walls. The two captains, one from the outgoing regiment, one from the incoming, march toward each other and meet in the center of the forecourt. They extend their left hands and touch palms. This is the symbolic handover of the keys to the palace. In reality, the palace has not been physically locked with a key in generations. It is guarded 24 hours a day by armed soldiers, CCTV, and police. But the gesture matters. It represents the unbroken chain of responsibility. The old guard says, "We have kept her safe." The new guard answers, "We will keep her safe now." While the band plays a concert in the forecourt, sometimes classical, sometimes popular, always precise, the officers retire to the guard room inside Buckingham Palace. There, they exchange detailed written orders. They hand over ammunition. They discuss any specific threats, expected visitors, or unusual movements expected in the next 24 hours. This is not theater. It is a formal military handover, identical in seriousness to any shift change in any army barracks in the world. The only difference is the setting. Outside, the corporals of the new guard march small detachments to the sentry boxes. There are several sentry positions at Buckingham Palace and St. James's Palace. Each sentry box has its own standing orders. The corporal halts the detachment, inspects the box, and reads out the instructions aloud. These include the compliments to be paid to visiting royalty, the procedure for emergencies, and the exact distance the sentry may walk while on duty. The sentry then takes his post. The relieved sentry from the old guard marches away, his 2-hour watch finished. One of the most moving details of the ceremony is invisible to most spectators. The soldiers on duty carry loaded rifles. The ammunition is live. The Queen's Guard is not a ceremonial unit. It is a fighting unit assigned to protect the sovereign and her residences. If a genuine threat emerges, an intruder, an attacker, a vehicle breaching the gates, the sentry is authorized to use lethal force. This is not widely advertised, but it is understood by the soldiers. The tall, silent figure in the sentry box is not a statue. He is a guard. The entire ceremony takes approximately 45 minutes. When the last sentry has been relieved and the last order handed over, the old guard marches away from Buckingham Palace. They return to Wellington Barracks, or sometimes to their home barracks outside London. They will eat, rest, train, and prepare for their next deployment, which may be to a parade ground, a field exercise, or a combat zone. Many of the guardsmen who stand watch at the palace have served in Iraq, Afghanistan, Northern Ireland, or other conflict zones. The scarlet tunic is their working uniform, whether they are guarding a queen or fighting insurgents. As the crowd slowly disperses, the new sentries stand motionless at their posts. A child waves. The sentry does not wave back. A tourist stands too close. The sentry stamps his boot and shouts a warning. The crowd laughs nervously. But the message is clear: this is not a performance. The changing of the guard happens every day because the monarchy, the palaces, and the traditions they represent are still worth guarding. The uniforms change slowly over centuries. The faces change every 24 hours. The duty never changes. A single guardsman stands alone in his sentry box. Big Ben chimes midday in the distance. His eyes do not move. His rifle gleams. Behind him, behind the gates, behind the stone walls, the palace breathes quietly. He is the last lock. And he does not sleep.